TikTok, you don't stop. To the TikTok, you don't stop. To the TikTok, you don't stop. To the
Come inside, take off your coat, I'll make you feel at home. Now let's pour a glass of wine, cause now we're all alone. I've been waiting all night, so just let me hold you close to me. Cause I've been dying for you, girl, to make love to me. Girl, you make me feel real good. We can do it till we both wake up. Girl, you know I'm.
Welcome back.
Hey.
Welcome back, goddammit. Welcome back.
What's going on?
How's everybody doing?
Happy Monday.
Yes.
Happy Monday. This is a special show tonight. We have the first ever First Lady E's book club.
Yes, I'm so excited.
And this is exciting. But before we get into that, you know how we do it. Make sure everybody's straight. Make sure everybody's doing good. How was everybody's weekend? First Lady E, let's start with you, boo.
My weekend was amazing. Just full of love, friends, and family.
Alcohol? I'm sorry.
Had alcohol, you know, I mean, alcohol makes, you know, gatherings a little bit better. I mean, it makes for good laughs and good conversations. So,
it
was
sure
good.
does. Cheddar B. What's up? What's up? You got some? Do we have some new cheesecake brand like flavors that are coming out? Like what's going on with that? Like I saw you had some bananas and I saw some Reese's. What else you got going on?
I can do the bars as any flavor. So I can do the Reese's bars. I can do, but I got some stuff I'm trying to do.
Okay.
Experimenting. So I don't want to say until it's perfected.
So Kevin, real quick, can we get like samples like for the meetup? Like a little tray, a little
what y'all want?
Whatever you want to throw in there. We got, you know, we want to test it out.
We should do an event and then you do a bunch of samples and then people can fill out cards and then tell you which ones they like the best. And then
I like
how about that? Look at me being crazy.
Look at you.
Oh, look at you. You just
our guest is in trouble. Aaron, my
oh, and I dyed my hair this weekend too at home. It was not easy. I had bleach all over on my face and stuff.
Oh, well, we already light skin. You don't need to put no more.
Exactly.
Like you can be careful.
Need to add to it.
The humble one. Where you see one, you see the other. How you doing, brother?
Same old big bro. Ladies, welcome back. Glad to hear both of you had awesome weekends. Weekend was pretty swell. Just another fun weekend, lining everything up. But happy to get into what we got planned for everyone tonight.
Yes.
As am I. I think collectively all of us are. So let's get into it. Let's build. Tonight is the first night of First Lady E's book club, and our featured book is SIKE A DYKE. Up what you heard, I'm not a dyke. That's what it is right here. It says it right here. I'm not just cussing, so make sure everybody take note of that. Okay. And we have a special guest. We actually have the author of the book, CJ Gardner, here.
Yay!
So this is like cool. This is amazing. I read books all the time. A lot of times I just want to kind of ask the author, like, what was the mindset there when you were saying this and that? And I finally had the chance. So I think this is going to be great. But before we bring CJ on, I just wanted to touch on something because of the title. And I just want to make sure, because it does say SIKE A DYKE. And I want to make sure that people understand that it wasn't offensive. It really was the depiction, you know what I mean, of the totality of her story. And I'm going to read to you the first excerpt of it. It says, I wrote this book to bring attention to the negative connotation referred to as SIKE A DYKE. The term is the marriage of two words, psych, which means to pretend or fake, and dyke, a slur to describe a lesbian woman with masculine characteristics. The word dyke often refers to women who falls under the categories of butch, stud, tomboys, or androgynous.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yes.
Y'all don't even know I was stuck on that word. For
You made it through.
But without further ado, she hails. No, I ain't gonna do Steve Harvey on you. But without further ado, it's my pleasure. I think it's all of our pleasure and honor to welcome author CJ Gardner to the show.
Hey guys,
hey, welcome CJ.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you on tonight, CJ.
What'd you say? Say it again.
I said we're so excited to have you on tonight.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for inviting me onto this platform to let me, share my story. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So just first things first, I want you to tell the people a little bit about yourself and basically what inspired you to write the book.
Okay. Well, my name is CJ. I'm a middle-aged woman. I have a daughter. I'm from South Jersey. And basically the book is just kind of like a background on my journey through sexuality, like my experience going through the confusion of not knowing exactly where I fell at on in the whole sexual spectrum that I speak about in the book. So that's basically what the book is about. It's about my journey, learning who I am and dealing with confusion in my sexuality.
Okay. So you mentioned the sexual spectrum, and you had mentioned in the book it was the scale of sexuality. I think initially you had broke it down by like percents.
Right.
And can you tell the people a little bit about that, because I think that's interesting for people to hear.
Yeah, I caught that too. And is that just for women or for men too? Because I disagree with you.
It's humans in general. Like when I was going to Rutgers, I was taking this class. It's a sociology class, and the professor, he just went off on a side note and just went into this whole spectrum. I was never able to like get any documentation on it or a reference or anything like that. But he kind of like broke it down as the population is 100%. Like if you have the population isn't 100%, then you have 10% of that population that is heterosexual. Then you have another 10% that is homosexual, and then you have 80% of the population, which can go either way depending on the circumstance. And they're basically is very flexible based off of many different variables. It could be abuse. It could be just maybe like for example, a woman who's been abused by a man, and now she doesn't want to deal with a man again. Maybe she might be so traumatized that she goes that way. Or it could be prison. It's many different reasons why somebody could act on that 80%, but you also could never ever act on the 80%. But if you're 10% heterosexual, then you're never ever going to stray away from that. No matter what happens to you against your will, you're always going to remain heterosexual in your mind, and the same with homosexuality. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, that kind of makes sense.
I got to see the studies on it, but yeah,
because
I just don't agree with the numbers. I think the numbers are inflated, but
when I discuss it with other people, it's like men are the ones that have a hard time dealing with that, because I think that men don't want to ever admit to being in 80%. Like you don't have to ever act on 80%, but just knowing in your mind that you might have been attracted to, or if you was in the right circumstance, you might, hook up with somebody. It's just that, like that 80%, men don't want to ever fall into the 80%. They will not openly admit it. So most of the people that push against the 80% are men.
But if you're not part of the 80%, you're the 10%. So they don't even apply, right, Aaron?
Right.
Yeah, but I have it. I mean, I'm grown. I'm not, questioning that part. I'm questioning the study.
Right.
Because, and I think, like I'm a big vocal advocate of them demasculating men in society. Okay. And especially alpha males. I actually believe that there is an attack to rid the world of alpha males. Now, alpha male doesn't mean I think people misinterpret it. It's not this aggressive or whatever they think. It's just a solid man, a man's man. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Go out, mow the lawn, like that. And I think that there is a decline in the representation of that we are seeing visually in society. And I think that has been a strategy that not even just black men, I just think collectively all the way around. And I think that has been a progression, based on strategy, what they're putting out. And so when I look at studies and I look at things like that, I'm not sure that they reflect that, because I can, I remember growing up, with my hanging out with my grandfather's crew, at the gunning club. They used to go hunting, and that was like 20, 30 men. And I'm telling you right now, that was 10 out of 10 in there. You know what I mean? And that was 100%. They were a man's man. And I can think collectively my group that I know of. You know what I mean? I don't see that fraction, printing out to a percentage out of kind of where my lens goes sometimes, which makes me question the number, but not question the theory behind it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, I mean,
so I guess my petition is against the study, not so much.
That makes sense.
Right, what you're saying. So I'm sorry.
It might be more than 80% nowadays. I mean, because
nowadays, I agree. Nowadays,
it might only be 5% on each end, or it might be only 5% heterosexual at this point.
I agree with that, because nowadays I agree with that.
Whew. So I had another question. The when you wrote about, so basically the book, how it is designed is, this is how I took that you started the book as being unsure of who you are, who you were at that time, and then these experiences that made you who you are today.
Right.
So you wrote about 4 or 5 different experiences in your life. So which one of those people you talked about was the toughest lesson, and what was the lesson that you were taught?
The toughest lesson for me probably was the one with the one that everybody finds the funniest, which is North.
North?
Yeah, that was
North's ass.
Yes, that was because I was so confused with my sexuality. I never really wanted to. I was kind of like living on the DL as a heterosexual for a very long time. Like, I would say I was gay because I already came out of the closet. I'm not going to go back. And I don't like to go back on my word. Once I say I'm something, I don't want to go back. So I don't want to eat crow, and I don't want egg on my face. So I would just ride that out. But behind the scenes,
I thought that was a premature declaration of you.
Right.
When you were saying I'm gay, I thought that was a premature declaration of who you are.
I agree with you, because I don't, that wasn't the case. But, my mom, I just felt like my mom was being supportive, and that's what she was saying that I was, and I signed on for it. But for a long time, I was behind the scenes just dealing with, a guy or whoever the case may be. But because I was so confused about who I was very cutthroat. And I didn't have like any emotion towards, the person that I was dealing with. And I would just cut them off, no explanation. And so I felt like that whole thing with the North thing, it was like a taste of my own medicine that I had to have. Like I felt like I was owed that. That was something that I needed. And even though like I had done so much self-work on myself, and I had been celibate and all that kind of stuff, I still owed that to the universe. I had to pay for that.
You still had to get that karma.
Yeah, I had to get it. It was there for me, and I had to accept it.
It would be by somebody named North. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
North.
No disrespect, North, if you want.
Wait, so since y'all read the book, do y'all have any other questions? Because I have a list of them. Do y'all have anything that you want to ask specifically, Humble or Cheddar? I know Aaron wants to go last.
Speaking to the like when I was reading, a lot of it was I'm interpreting from a standpoint of psychology, and a lot of it I was looking into was, I used to work with kids. So I worked with kids for 9 years of my life at various levels, K-5, high school, middle school. So what you were expressing when you talked about the struggles and stuff that you were going through as a child, mentally with, questioning and having other people question things, like when we spoke about the spectrum, about the 80% and all that, how many people you think maybe in the youth that are actually going through some of those same challenges right now? If you had to give your expertise from where you were at.
I mean, I really strongly agree with the 80%, because you can see it. Like, I see it more with girls, because girls don't have a problem experimenting, where men you don't see it out loud. You know what I mean? Especially if a man feel like he's straight, he's not going to show you that he's messing with guys behind the scene. But a girl will experiment. You'll see a girl go from very feminine to a stud, and then eventually she'll graduate back to the feminine side. Like, I've seen that many times, especially in the field that I worked in with juvenile offenders. Like, a lot of females who have been sexually abused and all that kind of stuff, they really struggle with where they, their sexual identity. They struggle with not wanting the man to see them in that way, and then they turn to a whole study, and all of a sudden you'll see them 2 years later. I mean, two years later, and they look like a totally different person. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that I believe that 80% for across the board, but with girls you can just see it more than you can with guys, because guys are not going to admit to dealing with guys on the DL. Did I answer that?
Yeah, the answer is kind of what I was like gearing towards. I was just asking in a sense of not really sense the percentage, but with the situation that a lot of kids are dealing with. You deal with juveniles and stuff like that. I said I've worked with kids before. There's certain things that I think we both may have noticed, and the behavior changes between kids when they may have gone through something that they weren't comfortable talking about outright. So I think the book has a very great mass appeal that a lot of people can get behind. There's definitely moments certain people can identify with.
Yes.
So in that sense, I would say that I was happy with what I read and what I saw, and hearing the answer that you gave let me know that when I was seeing certain things as a child care professional, as a school official, that it wasn't just me noticing things that weren't really there. You notice these things because you can see the changes in behavioral patterns and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I think that most people, like, this book is a great way for some people to kind of open up that conversation. And it's important that there's more conversation with parents and kids, with kids and adults they trust and stuff like that, to kind of understand what they're going through and why these questions are coming up. But much like Big Bro talked about, there's a societal spectrum to a lot of this too, where there's certain things that are placed upon society that make people now have, that people didn't want to question or didn't know what they question, they now will, because there's certain things that they're seeing that are making them somewhat, a little bit more like the guys has dropped a little bit. So I think there's more of people willing to say they see something or they feel something that they haven't before. So we're in a different state. When you spoke about where you were coming from at your place in time, it's a little bit different today. And then we see that with how things are being handled in schools. There's alliances within schools for kids that are of a certain age that may be maybe saying that, this is me, this is who I am. So there's alliances for the LGBT for children in certain schools. There's more dialogue being opened up. There's more people visiting schools and stuff like that to talk to kids who may be unsure about that. So I think that there's a great growth inside of that, from what you were saying from the book to where we see it now. So I think that was a huge thing, that I think that if you were coming from someplace where CJ's coming from, where she says the 90s and stuff, and if you're a person like, who grew up in the 2000s, you can see the difference. So I think that that's the part I took away from the book, was seeing where it was written from the perspective of who wrote it. It made a lot of sense to me.
Well, thank you. Because to me, like, these kids nowadays, they have a lot of resources. They have images on television that they can relate to. Like when I was growing up, when you seen a person that was gay or dyke or something, she lived off on the house on the corner that nobody went to, and you didn't really know. All you knew, she might have had a beard or something crazy. That's the only way you would know. Like she had to be a strong looking lesbian for you to know that was a lesbian, because you weren't really exposed to any of that kind of stuff, unless it was something very, very blatant where it is what it is, if that makes sense.
My question is, do you talk to anybody from the book still? I mean, obviously you talk to your child's father, but your friend you were with, Ghost, do you talk to anybody? Do they know that they were in the book?
Actually, I do talk to, I'm friends for the most part with everybody in the book, except for the Louisiana stud person. Everybody else I have a relationship with to a certain degree. Well, North, that ended probably like maybe I would say like 6 months ago. I had to block that person, but other than that, with the Ghost, I speak to him. I speak to Q regularly. I have a relationship with Aisha, so yeah, I have contact with them. I don't think that everybody knows they're in the book though. Other than Ghost and Q, they definitely know they're in the book.
Okay.
It's gonna be the best man part 3.
And they were very pleased with their chapter.
Pleased with their chapter.
Yeah.
Wait, so I had another question. What you said that that North had the most, what would you say? He taught you the toughest lesson. Who had the most impact on your life? Who had like a more positive impact on you?
I would say it would be between Ghost and Q. For me, Q is the person that really he
It's
probably
the quarantine babe.
Yes, because he really pushed me to write the book. Basically, he just pushed me to pursue my goals while I was going through the quarantine. So I would say it was him, but I think he had the most influence.
Aaron, do you want to go yet or no? Come on, give us something, Egg. I know you. Look, he got his lips. They sealed.
I want to know what your question is.
I want to know too. He said he highlighted. What's next? What you got?
I'm cracking.
Let's do this right. Yes, we are, CJ.
I can't take it.
Is my face red? Is my face red?
I'm cracking up.
I can't take it. I'm sweating. You got me sweating now.
I know I had to be blushing right now because my face is like on fire.
Man. Whew. So I have questions, but I want to start from the front and then I'll work my way through. Right. And so the first question that I have for you is, and in the very first chapter, you mentioned about an older sister that was adopted or put up for adoption.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you feel as though if you would have had that presence of an older sister in your life, you would have been able to navigate through the weeds of your identity search a little bit more faster because you would have kind of had that in-home support? And did you ever reflect on that? And was that something that you kind of may have resented? Like, well, damn, if I would have had my older sister, I'm sure I would have, because I saw that gravitation towards a lot of the support of your friends, even Aisha, even with Veranda and her response to Aisha, which, believe it or not, I think Veranda was right. I think she was right. I absolutely think she was right.
I think so too.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I think she was right. Just kind of seeing how I think old girls move, and no disrespect to her at the time. But I think Veranda was right, but supportively right. That's my first question. Do you ever, even to this day, do you ever kind of go back and say, because this is a hell of a journey.
Yeah.
It's different. Like some people journey through life and they're trying to search what their niche is and what do they want to be. And they might be in one job, but no, that's not who they are. They really want to be an artist or something. This is more of an intern. This is an inward, right? Right. This was an inward journey. And that's, really our purpose here, right? Is to evolve inwardly. And yours was probably the most challenged one anybody I think could have. And so was that a component that even to this day, you look back and say, you kind of resent that option wasn't there for you growing up in terms of having a sibling?
Actually, I don't have any resentment at all. I just, the way I was raised, for some reason, I always feel like I'm the strongest person. I feel like I can withstand things other people cannot. I feel like I have a relationship with my sister, and I don't feel like she would have been able to survive what I went through. I don't feel like I would have been able to rely on her for any kind of support. I don't think that she was built for what I had to deal with in my family. So no, I don't think that I would get that support from her. I don't think that she's built for it. That's why she's not the first. By default, I am the first.
Okay. And I have another follow-up question to chapter 1. And then we can go back around and I'll get into the good stuff. But this is not just curious. This is just curiosity killing the cat. Your grandfather was a black man from Mississippi in the 1940s.
Yes.
Your grandmama.
1921.
1921. Born 1921, right? Okay.
Yes.
Your grandmama was from Germany.
Yes.
And they met during World War II.
Correct.
So Mississippi, I'm not even sure if they even have lifted Jim Crow down there right now in 2021. In Mississippi right now, I'm going to be honest with you, that was probably the most racist state in the union in terms of, how blacks in general were treated down there. So was that ever something that did you ever get their love story? Like, what would have made a brother from Mississippi in the 1940s going to World War II after, you know, living in probably the height of, you know, growing up probably through lynching and all that, where it was really heavy in Mississippi, and then going over there and then falling in love with not just, you know, a white woman, but a German white. So that, because that came with the stigma of Nazi and everything else and unfamiliarity. And so, did you ever get that love story from them? Kind of like what? That was just odd to me. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, where I'm from that's a common thing. I'm from Mount Holly or West Hampton. I say West Hampton. Eggers like to make fun and say it's Mount Holly, but I am from West Hampton, and it is a difference. And so when I grew up in that area, it was a lot of German Black families, so that was a very common thing. But I did ask my Oma. I asked her, you know, how did she fall in love with my grandfather? If she had been a Nazi at one point, she had got a pension from working on the train taking Jews to Auschwitz. So I asked her, how did that come about? And basically, it wasn't a love story. It was out of desperation. Basically, she grew up in a very upper class family. They had businesses and things like that. Those things were destroyed, and it left her with nothing. And soldiers were the only way out of the country at that time, and that's what she did, because she had been trained and taught in school that Black men grew tails and Jews grew horns. So she had no intention of dating anybody Black, but once things got tight, she jumped on board and she found her way over here.
Okay.
So what's her love story?
Yeah, that got it. Yeah. As soon as you said that, I said, okay, there's the answer to my question.
I mean, it was a love though. They did love each other, but I don't believe it was ever an in love situation.
It was like they grew to love each other out of.
It was like a partnership, you know. Like when I was born, my grandparents were already in their 50s. By the time I was born, they didn't sleep in the same room. You know what I mean? It was a separation. My grandfather did his thing in the house. He maintained the household. I mean, the bills. He took care of the outside of home. My grandma maintained the inside of home. They had regular gender role type of thing, traditional stuff, but it was no love in the household.
Follow up. Do you think that played a part in a lot of some of your search? And
I was about to ask that.
Do you think your grandma being a woman, right? Because women are more the hopeless romantic, right?
Right.
Safe to say. And you wrote in here that the your grandmother was the matriarch, and in your family structure, the matriarch was the teacher.
Right.
So right then and there, that means you're the student. Now you're learning. And what do you do in your school? You learn, but you retain.
Right.
And you're taught to retain, which means program it and then keep it with you. And because it wasn't that foundation of that love story that I talked about, do you think that kind of cancered a lot in you in terms of, you know, being able to find that compatibility out there to see what really could have resolved a lot of that inner search in you?
I believe so. It just, to me, that wasn't a healthy relationship, and the way I was raised was like, there is no such thing as a love story. You know what I'm saying? It's just basically you get together for whatever that function is. It's no love behind it, and that's just what I seen. Even with with my mom, it was my mom was an abuser of men. So I went from one household with a certain type of way to a very abusive household with my mom. So it basically just taught me to hide behind a mask, basically. And that's why it was so easy for me to not admit to who I was, because I was used to shutting down and just being on autopilot and not really being present. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I think that's the root of kind of a lot of what I concluded was that mask was worn throughout the book. I saw the mask in every journey.
Mm-hmm.
In every chapter, I saw that mask. And I would even say, even down to the conclusion, but I saw it. I saw the contentment with being able to pull it off, even if it was even if you remain a fraction undefined.
Right.
Completely. Sorry, I'll pass it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I do love that also.
That was very profound, man.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing through the whole thing, where I just saw this pursuit of figuring you out, like almost as if it was like before you hit the grave, you're going to. This is the only puzzle that you want to solve in this year.
Right.
And I think it's safe to say that we categorize and we label everything in life: black, white, right, homosexual, heterosexual, pretty, ugly, fat, skinny, and we're so segregated like that. But at the end of the day, we're all in that journey. We're all trying to figure us out.
That's right, Aaron. That's
you know what I mean. So just know you're in great company. You know what I mean. And but with you, I get it, especially being a woman, and then that. So I got it, but I saw that mask the whole time, and I honestly feel there'll be a fraction of it undefined, but I think you're going to be okay with that. I definitely think you're going to be, and I think you are. I think you're there. But it was a great. But I was attached to this book. But I'll pass it. I'll pass it around.
Aaron, I love how you put that though. That was like it makes it like you kind of made it in layman's terms for everybody to read. You know what I mean? It's like you read deeper into what the book was about, and I really love that. To be honest, I love that breakdown. I think Just has a question from the comments.
Ty, who was a frequent viewer, he was hanging out with me and Aaron on Friday night. I had a question about he has a question for the author. What gave her the push to getting the book together and published? And the reason why I think this question is kind of important to Ty is my buddy Ty has a girlfriend that he's been with. She's someone who identifies as bisexual. So I think that the question may not just be from him, but also from her as well. Maybe she wants some insight on how she can go about getting her own story together. So if you don't mind expanding.
For me, I felt like I like to help people. Like I'm a person that likes to motivate other people. I feel like that's like my calling is to help other people. And by doing that, it helps me. So for me, it was like, I know from my experience with work, I'm not the only person who is confused about, their sexuality. I'm sure a lot of people didn't have a mom that assumed they were gay and push them in that direction. But I know a lot of kids just grow up and they don't know what they are. And a lot of girls grow up and they have experienced things in their life that, like I was saying before, being sexually abused, things like that has caused them to really go into that confusion. So I just wanted to write a book to let kids know, or, women know, or whoever it pertains to, that, they're not in it alone. You know what I mean? People are confused. If you're part of the 80%, you don't really know where you fit in. And so you can be closer to the heterosexual, closer to the homosexual side. But the thing is that you just have to find where you're comfortable at. You have to find your truth and be comfortable with who you are and whoever it is that you decide to love. So that was my whole inspiration. It was just trying to help another person, but also sharing my story and helping me. That to me, that was kind of like a form of therapy by just putting it out there. And I'm I like to say I'm an open book, but I'm also very reserved. And so to even write a book and share that much was, I don't know, it was a lot, because there's a lot in that book that I wouldn't talk to somebody with.
You must be talking about seating or something in the airplane, because
Aaron, she said she's shy. Oh, I'm sorry.
I am shy.
Yes.
CJ, I got a question not totally pertaining to the book. Have you been to Germany at any point in your life yet?
Actually, I have never been to Germany. That's something that I always wanted to do. When my grandma was alive, I wanted to do it with her because she loved her country and she was very ethnocentric. She was a proud German. When people didn't like Germans, she just loved who she was. She loved her culture, and that really made me love my own culture and being Black. Like I learned through her. But when I was supposed to go, I was like 11 years old. And my grandma got my ticket, and my mom wouldn't allow me to go because my grandma goes to her own town. She doesn't go to like the military area. She goes to her home, which is Aachen. And she just felt like me being a little chocolate kid, she didn't want anything to happen to me if she wasn't going to be present. So I wasn't allowed to go at that time. So no, I have never been there, but I do plan to go.
Have you heard any stories about the night outs and stuff like that?
No.
So you've never heard of Brothers Night Out?
No, never heard of it.
You never heard of Sisters Night Out either?
No.
What is it, Just?
So
What is it?
Night Out. It's usually black women with like German men. So like they get their own night where it's like them and they're like the center of everything. All the guys, like no matter what, race or anything like that, they're all in love with the women because they call it Sisters Night Out for a reason. Brothers Night Out, you see all brothers a different shade and complexion, and they got nothing but the women in there. It's a story I got told by a cook that worked at my job recently, and he said, yo, when you get a chance, I want you to go to Europe. I want you to take a trip. Make sure you hit these two places. He told me to go to he definitely said to go to Germany. He said to go to Frankfurt. He told me to go to what was the other place? This other guy was from some other place. I can't remember. My homie's name was Vladimir. He told me to definitely hit Germany though, because he said you go there for Brothers Night Out. Trust me, it'll be a weekend you'll never forget. I was like, yo, all right, I'm gonna do that one time. But if you do get a chance to get out there, I promise you, like you're gonna see it. It's gonna be crazy. The way it was described to me is just like a movie. Like you go there.
My cousin, that's his favorite country. He's in the Air Force, and he was like, "I will never be with an American woman." Like I love He said, "No, it ain't even close." Like he said, Germany was lit, so you should definitely go. And
I hear that all the time from especially guys, military guys. They all love Germany. It's their spot.
Look, that's the reason why, because they have the women's night. And the men's night, that means they go out and on a prowl and get who they want to get.
Right.
Look, Aaron's like, I'm about to book a flight.
Right? Look, he probably looked at flights right
Look, he ain't said nothing right now this whole time.
How much it cost?
He been quiet this whole time.
Aaron, you got any other questions about the chapters?
I mean, I do, but I'll pass it up. We can go back around and you go.
I'll
go right now if you want.
Okay, well, I have a question, CJ. Do you feel like you would be? Well, let me ask you first. Where do you fit today on the scale? Like, what is your sexuality?
For me right now, I feel like I'm definitely bi. I'm definitely part of 80%, but I just feel more comfortable on the hetero side of the scale. Because I really never have really been into females to that degree. Yeah, I see them, they nice looking. There are some women that I would like, oh, that she's bad. You know what I mean? Like Buffy the Body back in the day, like somebody like that. Portia. There's moments, but it's just not a regular thing for me. So I would say I'm closer on the heterosexual, but I'm definitely bi.
So, okay, so my follow-up question to that is, do you think you would be bi if your mom, I feel like your mom kind of planted the seed at an early age. Do you feel like you would even went on that side if it wasn't kind of planted? Like if it wasn't like you're gay, you're lesbian.
Right. If I was hetero, then there would be no way she could convince me. And I wouldn't experiment. I would never experiment with it as if I'm 10% hetero. But okay. I definitely feel like I was definitely within 80%. But I may not have acted on it. I think that she kind of like her feeling like that gave me permission to experiment with something I may not have ever experimented with. You know what I mean? Because
was it even a thought?
No, like in high school, I never found anybody attractive in high school. Like I was saying to you guys the other day, like the first time I really can remember being attracted to somebody when I was at Rutgers, and it was that girl that was using me to sign in and out of class. But other than that, like that was like my first really strong experience. It was like, yeah, maybe so. You know what I'm saying? And so I probably would have never have acted on it because I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not assertive in that way. And I would never have approached a woman at all. So I don't think that I would have ever acted on it.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you think it would have been better or worse? I mean, we know it would be better if your mother would have just asked you and had the conversation about what do you think you are, what's going on. But do you think it would have been better or worse if, she saw the way you dress and she puts you in the box of lesbian? Do you think it would be better or worse if she tried to force you into the hetero box and was like, no, you can't wear that. You need to be wearing dresses. You need to be girly.
you know what? I appreciate the fact that she didn't do that with me. I'm more grateful that she didn't do that, because for me, you know, how you dress is your identity. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very personal. And to have me wearing a dress and shoes was going to be a problem for me. Like, it bothers me just talking about it right now.
Right. I saw a picture of her in a dress.
Was she miserable?
And shoes. It was hilarious. That's all I can say.
Yes. So
her feet was like this. Yes. It was so awkward.
Like Shorty from Loving Basketball.
Yes. I was saying like Snoop. I was saying like Snoop when he wore the Converse, the slew footed, like, you know what I mean? Like that whole California vibe, but I had some pumps on with it. But yeah, like if she would have did that, I would have. I'm so grateful that she didn't push me in that type of way, and that she allowed me to wear, you know what I mean, my Buster Browns and my corduroy, my button up. Like, you know, I was fly. I was a fly little kid. Dressed like a boy.
All right, so I have something. I have a question, kinda. So this is what I thought of, right? I said I'm gonna mention each of the references you use in the book, and I want you to give me the first word that comes to your mind.
Oh Lord.
Just one word.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna start with the baby daddy. Just one word.
Grateful.
Ooh, okay.
Insecure. Next.
Aisha.
Sorry, go ahead.
Aisha.
Mentor.
Ghosts.
Love.
Louisiana stud.
That's a hard one.
Just one word.
Just one word? Friendship.
North.
North. Huh?
North. Huh?
Oh, North? Okay.
Oh, please use the word, please.
What, dickfish?
Yes, honey, thank you. And quarantine babe.
Partner.
Oh, look at you.
That's my baby.
I know. Well, I guess you could tell everybody, are you with any of the people that are in the book today?
And can you elaborate on deficient?
Yeah. Me and Q, we're still together.
Quarantine.
That never really ended. It ended when I wrote the chapter, but I never went back and revised anything or added anything to it. I just wanted everything to end the way that it ended.
Now, did he read it? Did he read, like, you know, times of anybody else and was like, oh, okay, that's what happened?
he definitely read the book, and he was just, I don't know, he just got a kick out of the whole North chapter. He just found out to be hilarious.
Yeah.
He didn't realize that people get dickfish. He didn't realize that happens because he doesn't have that problem evidently. So
that's funny that you say that, because we all her friends, and ain't none of us know that was a situation. We was like, we always wondered, like, well, what is about this man why is she? And then I'm like, hold on. So she ain't never said nothing about the dick fish. I was like, hold on a minute. So when was you gonna tell us this? Because she tells us everything. We didn't know what we didn't know.
What are you calling it again? It's called a what fish?
Dick
fish.
Okay.
You know, like catfish. Come on, yeah.
Young women are ruthless. I thought Sex and the City was bad.
Listen, the funny part is we all friends. We ain't know nothing about it until we read the book.
I had to keep it under wraps until y'all read the book.
We didn't know nothing about it. I was like, wait, so you was like that over him?
It was the mental. It was the mental. It was the mental. It was the dealing with. You know what I mean? Like Carmel was saying, it was a lot. It was a lot of money.
Look, Aaron, you all right?
I can see that. I didn't. Well, Just knows because I text Justin, but I didn't place any significance on him other than a rest stop at kind of a particular focal point of unsettlement in your life. In here.
I like that.
That's where I had him at. So I didn't really. I don't think it would have mattered if it was like. It was what it was.
Yeah,
it was a good Netflix movie.
Yes, it was like because. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, CJ, but I know a little bit. So I want to say that it was like a transition type because she was like celibate, long time out of a what? Am I wrong? A long time out of a relationship, and he was kind of like, ooh, like who is this? He's fine, but then I was like, wait, yeah, he was fine and all that, but that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Plus, I had a lot of pressure. I had a lot of pressure from, you know what I mean? When you have friends who get in your ear and tell you, go get that dick, stop playing all these games. You know what I mean?
You get it. Look, then when you get it, it ain't nothing.
Yes, that's why I was like, I ain't telling their asses nothing about this shit here.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Because I did exactly what y'all told me to do. I did exactly what y'all told me to do.
Don't listen to them friends.
Hey, CJ, and now you got a chapter north.
Yes.
They told you to do it, now we got a chapter north.
No, but wait.
He played the position that he needed to play because I don't think I wouldn't have did it. I might have still been celibate for all I know. Who knows? I don't know.
She would.
It would have been something. It was just something about him and his, I don't know, his game and charisma and the razzle dazzle and all that.
The razzle dazzle.
It was the razzle dazzle. Wait, but that razzle dazzle had to get blocked.
Wait, but quarantine, babe, your friend gave you some good advice on that one, right?
Yeah, she did. Mm-hmm. She said, "Stop playing and go get that dick once again."
Mm-hmm. Look, that one's official.
We ain't going to say who that person is.
No, we don't even have to mention them. But they was right. They was right, though, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome. Wait, so do I have another question? Okay, so I don't want to wrap it up. Does anybody have another question? Because then I have an ending question and then that's it.
Yeah, no, I do.
That's all for CJ. What you got, Aaron?
So basically I have the foundation of your progression through this journey. Mm-hmm. I'm going to name 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to name 6 people, but I'm going to name who I have first and last. Ron, that were influential. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be. That doesn't mean you had, you were intimate with them. You could have found out anything like that, but just made an impact on you. And I'm gonna start with Ron. Mm-hmm. Deb was very significant on that ride into town.
Yes, she was.
Tracy. Mm-hmm. I think even in the midst of the mindfulness of the wrath of the insecurity from the little brother, I'm assuming, right? That just it didn't matter. I think that you were so induced in that attraction, you know what I mean, there. And I think that was a spark. That was a spark. Because to be in that type of kind of, abusive rut, you know what I mean, where you're so anxious and hunkered in anxiety, you know what I mean, that you're being mindful of everything, like you're looking down almost. And to be in a fuck it mode, you were just that. I think that was definitely an inducive spark. And that, I think, with that spark, Aisha was able to hit that with some lighter fluid, and allowed you to kind of transition that into a flame.
I love that, Aaron. I love that.
But I think because of the understanding of it, but then the physical aspect of it brought you back to reminiscing to Ron,
right?
And how that felt with a man, which then led you to Ghost.
right?
Which was a very similar sexual, you know what I mean, situation in terms of, you know, the weight of it, you know, how heavy it was and intense. So in a sense, I have Ghost. Ghost was really induced by thoughts of Ron during a time when you were unsatisfied with Aisha. That's what I have.
I definitely agree with you. I can see that.
And so the last one, who I think was the first one that really probably made you think, I have Phyllis. And I have Phyllis because this was the Keaton family. And you were young, you were a kid, and there were times where you would go over there and do stuff. And, you know, I was watching, you know, you described Phyllis, and it was the description of your fascination of how beautiful, the smooth skin, you know what I mean, the pretty and so when I saw that, and I know, like, in your mind as you're writing, you're morphing back to that little girl and her first vision of that. And so in that moment, I'm seeing you have that attraction to a woman there. So I actually have Phyllis as your starting point.
Really?
I have Phyllis, Phyllis, Ron, Deb, Tracy, Aisha, and Ghost. But I have Ghost induced from Ron and missing that whatever. Plus, Ghost also had that swag. You know what I mean? And he was, but in terms of the physical component of it, it was very, it reminds you of the pantry. It reminds you of the pantry. And that's what you wanted. You wanted the pantry because the other part. And so at some point, I was about to get my car right, find you, slap the shit out of you. What you mean you going to toilet in the goddamn pantry? Get your ass up that goddamn pantry. No.
You need to read this book. I'm telling y'all.
You in a Corolla? You in a Corolla?
I'm cracking up.
Y'all, I want y'all need to try this over the weekend. Take you a pallet and go into the motherfucking
No, there's better. There's better.
Oh my God. Go into the pantry next to the beans.
Next to the peas and the beans, baby. Go in there.
Honey.
So I have that really as your kind of induction into that life. You know what I mean? And everything else was just really, you know, an olive on the branch that is extended out. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, what I got out of it, I definitely think Phyllis. I think what I got out of it is, you know, your sexuality is bipolar.
Oh, that's a good one. Is it bipolar? It sounds like it.
I think all of us each have a component of bipolar in us in some aspect. Now, you know, some people might say, "Oh, it's, you know, for whatever reason," but I think that's what it is, and that has everything to do with chemistry and energy, and feminine energy, masculine energy, and what your being is made of. And I think for somebody whose journey is more inward, not outward, I want to be in a better job, career, all that bullshit. But and yours started inward. So you're like in a blessed, it's almost like you're in a holy place right now that you're journeying through, because, you know, I mean, we're not even supposed to be attached outward in any capacity. We're supposed to be developing in, because in is the only thing that leaves our avatar, our body, and goes back to where it belongs. And it has to be a better citizen for that place. So we come here to learn. So your journey inward, you started there, you know what I mean? And so you were getting cookie crumbed all the way from Phyllis. You know what I mean? But the problem is you're just in a matrix society of labels, and I can't be this because I'm in a black family, and what black folks gonna think, and this, you know, it's blasphemous. And so you have that foundation from the start in terms of upbringing, but then you have your sexual lust and your sexual attraction, and it is what it is.
Right.
You can, and to me, that's it, like, that's where I can, like, you can sit, damn, she's bad, she's whatever. I could see soft lips, she got soft, you know, and cool. But you, in terms of that complete fulfillment, where it's just you know, you want that dude, you want that dude that does it. And to me, that's just it. Like, there is no, it's a seesaw. There is no balance to that. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And the best way to call it is almost bipolar. So in terms of your longevity and how do you live your life, because nobody wants to go bounce here and then bounce there.
Right.
You know, I think you're in the beauty of identifying that, and then, you know, being your own author to figure out, okay, then what does that mean in terms of longevity? how do I see me living my life?
Right.
Is it open? Is it, is it something that you can rebuke, on one tip of the scale and just stay in one lane? Like you're in the position that you started with right here, where it is what it is.
Preach on
just like you said, but you can be the author moving forward. You know what I mean? And so to me, that is that unmasking that we talked about. But in order to, I think, get there, like you had it in the beginning, which the Phyllis, the Ron, the Deb, the Tracy, the Aisha, and Ghost, and Veranda was right about Aisha. Shout out to Veranda. She was definitely right. But I think that's your cornerstones. That's your cornerstones. And I think if you go back to that little girl, just like you did when you were writing about Phyllis, and go through each one and see where you were in terms of, attraction and connection, then it'll help you Picasso, your final painting to see what life looks like moving forward, because it can't be conclusive right now. There's no way. I didn't find you conclusive at the end of the book. I found you you had excellent case management notes about yourself.
I think she said it. I think the word that she used was evolving, and I think that's. I don't think that's final. I think
excellent case management notes about her.
I think it's really evolving. She's evolving into who she is. Right. But I think she can. I think she can get there. I just think. Yeah. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. It's like I said. I think it is what it is. There's a little bipolar there, but it's that inward one, and it has everything to do with interest. And it's not, well, am I wrong this way, or maybe I'm this? No, it's bipolar. However you feel on Tuesday and Wednesday is what it's going to be. But you know what I mean. You can't serve both masters sometimes,
right?
So you got to figure out how you got to figure out what that looks like, or how you can be the Potter hands of your own life, and mold out something that works for you to ride out the rest of your life in your own comfort and in your own security, as opposed to it being more, a book too, what, instead of north, south.
East,
like, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But I think this was, I wish I could look back at some of my traumas and stuff and pin it out like that. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm frightened to, you know what I mean? Because I think it would I consider myself an alpha and assertive and all that. And I think it would bully me down. I would bully my own self emotionally to breaking down. And I, have become so regimented in my own, built up strength or whatever, right, that I wouldn't let that down, because, that's what you're worried about. You know what I mean? And so I applaud you for doing that, because I don't think I could. And I don't think I would want to. That would be like, that'd be like that dark road where I'm like, no, I ain't going down there, bro. So I applaud you for this. I mean, this was great. I have more, but we can, well, go around.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
I was just gonna say, so what was your process for writing the book? Like, did you just hammer it out, you know what I mean, one week and take all your time to do that, or what was your process?
So anytime, like, I would usually I like to walk in the morning time, like on the weekends and things like that. I like to use it at that time as like meditation. So I would voice record notes, whatever came to my mind, I would just save it. And then if I was at work, or if I was just sitting on the couch and something came to my mind, I would write it in a note in my phone. And then after I had so many notes collected, I would transfer them over to my computer. And then from there, I started putting them into chapters. And then, so by the time I decided to write the book, I had already basically had a lot of information already there already. I just needed to go through and put it all together. So basically that's what I did. I put it into chapters. I piecemealed it basically, because I used to use it pretty much as therapy. Just writing was just therapy for me. And then from there, I sent it off to an editor, and then I let them clean it up. I mean, they missed a couple things, but they cleaned it up. And then that's basically how it came about. And then I did, the book cover. I had to do that, 99 Designs, which was a great resource. That was like a really great resource. And then from there, I did everything on Amazon. Everything is so easy now that you can really tell your story so easy without any middleman. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to write a book, this is the time to do it. They're saying, from my research, like doing audibles, it's kind of like they said, like imagine having a business when Instagram first came out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're saying about audibles. Audibles is so new. Like, if you want to write a book, this is the time to do it, to get on there and try to make some money because it's so fresh. So basically, I just did that. Went on Amazon. Now I have an Audible. I have the hard copy. I have ebooks, and it was a really simple process.
Okay.
But it just started from journaling, basically, is what I want to say.
Yeah, because I have thought about writing a book, but the process seems so stressful to me that I haven't even tried to tackle it. Like, I tried, but it just seemed like, I'm trying to Google what ways to do what.
Don't even think about it like that.
That is simple to just, as soon as you get a thought, just write it down.
Write it down. Like, just come up with your chapters first. I mean, you can always go back and revise it. Think of like 15 chapters, however you want to do it, or whatever, however you want to do it, and then start writing for each part as you go, or just start writing. Period. Just open up a notebook in your phone and just start writing as things come to you. When your baby's sleep and you just have some downtime, start writing. When you're upset, start writing. You know what I'm saying? When you're happy, start writing. Like, when you get up in the morning and your first thought of what you're grateful for, start writing. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, you just put everything together and then you make it into a book. It's very, very easy. I will walk you right through it if you ever need me to. Just send me an inbox and I'll tell you everything that you need to do. But it's very, very easy now.
Okay, I definitely will.
And it's not expensive at all. Like, Amazon makes everything. Like, you don't even pay anything up front for Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely send you a DM.
Yeah. The most money you're going to spend is on the editing and on the actual book cover. That's it.
Jess, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, girl.
Jess, do you have anything in closing?
I basically just wanted to tell CJ once again, thanks for not just being able to come on and speak with us about the book, but the fact that you wrote this. I think people are going to underestimate the value that books can mean to certain people, and the fact that these pieces of literature, they can really open up a doorway for some people. So what you did was very important, but the reason you did it was impactful because you didn't do it for recognition, as you did it in a case that came from a place of wanting to help somebody else and being able to save certain people some of those traumas that you went through. So I think that just the idea behind the book, what you did as a reason for making it, of course, there's reasons you did for your soul for yourself, of course, but the reason that you gave us at the beginning was basically want to help somebody. So at the end of the day, I always applaud you for that because it was a stance and it was something that you took that not many people can do. Most people wouldn't be willing to expose themselves like that, which is what you did with this book. So I appreciate and applaud you for that. As far as my thoughts on how this was impactful, as far as the this conversation, what we did tonight, I think it's necessary. It's a necessary conversation to keep having people get into a place where they get more comfortable and not just understanding the world around them, but understanding themselves. The idea of self-acceptance and self-understanding is a big deal, and I think that more people need to understand themselves and learn more about themselves. Audit your interactions and audit the things you go through every single day, and start to learn more about your habits that may, turn people on, may make people a little bit more wary of you, but understand them so that you can start making better informed decisions and start being better to yourself before you can be better to anybody else.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That was so good. So, CJ, anything to look forward to?
Well, I'm writing another book.
Next for you, yes. Okay.
I'm writing another book, and this one is going to be, now that I know the process and I see the errors in the book that I did write, as far as making sure my editing is on point. And now that I just know what to do first, like from 1 to 10, like I know how to move. My next book is gonna be a little bit more. It's gonna be deeper than this one. It's gonna touch.
It's gonna be deeper.
It's gonna be deeper. Yes, it's gonna touch on things that.
Look, I'm sorry.
Nothing sexually this time though. It's mainly
not that kind of deep.
Not that kind of deep. It's just gonna be basically just my life living as a chocolate kid and being raised by a former Nazi. You know what I mean? And my experience growing up in that kind of household, and it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting.
He is the best.
When I would die, I'd go back to God. Like, yo, God, really?
You know what though? I would never take this experience back. Like I'm so grateful that I grew up the way I grew up. Like I wouldn't even take it back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna share all that.
Okay. We can't wait. We're excited, CJ.
But I would like to say thank you guys so much for taking the time to buy my book, read my book, to, you know what I mean, bring me on here to discuss my life and my situation. Like I really, really appreciate that because you didn't have to. I'm just really grateful to you guys. And I feel like I have to give Aaron like a copay. Should I send you a copay? Do you take Horizon Blue Shield? Do you take any? What kind of health insurance you take? Because I feel like I need to send you a copay.
Therapy, right? That was therapy, right?
Yeah. The way he closed it all up like that.
The way he broke it all the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was only like, I mean, I wish you could see like my notes in here on the book. I mean,
both of you guys are so deep. Right? I feel like I owe y'all something.
Look, they take Cash App, Venmo, what's that?
And thank you, ladies. I appreciate you both.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for coming on.
No problem. Don't forget, like if you want me to explain any of this, just go for it. Like just whenever you get some downtime, just start writing. That's all you got to do, and then from there, it's just gonna keep rolling.
Aaron, you hear that?
What? Go ahead. What?
I hear you, girl. Heard what she just said.
What did she say?
Just start writing.
Just start writing it.
I'm being vulnerable with you guys, and the reason why is because I feel like, first of all, I came to, you know, there was a lot of maturation in me and understanding the community in that world, as you said, and I can, you know, I definitely understood a female's perspective of that sensuality, right? That they could get accommodated by another female, but then also, you know what I mean? I definitely can see that. I think, you know, when we did Ladies Night one time, I told you, I gave y'all a story, but so I like it, but for me, like it was just, oh man, like it was just, you know, I understood it a lot, and it was great. But I just remember thinking, like when I was reflecting back on it, and I kind of went over my notes and said, all right, you know, how do I attack this?
How do I attack this?
Well, because, you know, I had to find your roots. So your roots was that top 6 I gave you. I was like, this is the roots right here. This is there was the seed plant. You were born. That was the seed plant. And then it develops roots. And then, you know, anything else can be chopped down, but the roots always stay. So they're the ones that you go back to. But I saw a lot of that growth in that Black family dynamics. And that I think that we all know, where there is that Justin and I talk about all the time, where I have issues. I think collectively we do, with kind of the mindset and understanding of the foundation that they gave, and not saying that it was bad, but not saying that it was totally good for allowing people to kind of be the individuals that they want. A lot of those individuals, you know, our parents and that are still alive today and still stuck in the same opinions that they have. Right. And they won't waver from it. And this, they know better. We don't know shit. And I always say we inherited a more difficult world, you know what I mean, than they did. They all had both parents in the home. They didn't have the craziness on TV and society and everything. They had a pretty simple life, other than a few social movements that were going on. Sure, there was segregation, this and that, but you had your own Black economy when you were in segregation. You had your own Black hotels. You had your own Black economy. It's not my fault y'all surrendered it. You know what I mean? And it went to shit. But it's what happened. But you still had it. And if you migrated or you went over there into the other side of town, okay, whatever. But you still had more of an identity. We got thrown into this shit. And but a lot of that came with them, you know, with the old ways of, you can't be this, you know, we can't let nobody in the family know you're this. And I can't be looking like that, because then people in the family go and talk and blah, 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 blah. And then when you get older, you find out, wait a minute, you talk about the family where Uncle so-and-so got 10 illegitimate kids. that'll come in this person, and you start seeing all the skeletons in those closets that they protect. You start finding out when you're older, but you look back and it's like, well, wait a minute, like we felt like we couldn't be ourselves because we were and mess up or figure ourselves out because we had the standard of this black family, like the Huxtables, like you know what I mean. We had the whole firm too, and you know what I mean. And because of that, we fucked up. We made mistakes. We hitched to the wrong people. You know what I mean? And you know, and it conflicted us. And you grow anger, and then that's a trauma in itself.
Right.
And when I started coming to the understanding of that, then I started rebelling a lot, and then I became the disrespectful one. Right. And you know what? Proud of it, because I am disrespecting a lot of that shit that was force fed to a lot of us. And I, you know, anyway, I said all that to say this was one of the books where I read it and I took like a sigh and I just sat and stared. But I also said, I don't know. We'll talk. I don't know if I can do mine. I don't know. I think I like to bury stuff, put a tombstone on it, and I don't go back into the cemetery because I don't think there's no life in the cemetery. And that's how I like to handle things that, you know, may have hurt me or may have impacted me in a certain way, you know, when I was growing up. Maybe that's something I need to do, probably. But you know, there's a little fear in me in doing it because of the effect that it may have. And then what then happens if I break down while I do it, then what is that? You know, how does that leave me as a man? There's a lot of stuff. You know, again, it's being that alpha that I talked about, you know what I mean, that exists, you know what I mean? And so, but I loved it. And this definitely allowed me to consider, you know what I mean, looking in that cave and seeing if it's something that I want to go in. And I appreciate
I hope that you do. I hope that you do, because I mean, I don't know what kind of book you would want to write. You know, I'm not talking about a sexual type book like this one or anything like this, but whatever you leave, you're going to leave for your child. Like when you're no longer here, your child reads that book, and they're gonna know a little bit more about you in a different type of way. You know what I'm saying? You're leaving something for them.
And it's therapy too, right?
It is therapy. You don't ever have to share your book. You can just publish it just for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can have it printed just for yourself, just to have on your shelf, just for you and your family to pass down.
Right. I think you're right. I think like if this was your journal, like I was able to read through it. And like I said, I was able to pillar out.
Right.
Oh, no, this happened here. That like, and so I thank you for it. It was, you know, easy. Agnes said, you know, she said it. She's like, this book is deep. Y'all gonna love it. And I just remember I got into it and I was just
Thank you, friend.
Yeah, and I got into it. I was like, wow, you know what I mean? I kept going, and you know, I saw, I was able to reflect a lot of my own journey. You know what I mean? Just, and it was cool. You know, different circumstances. You know what I mean? Pursuit, of course, but it was dope. I loved it. I think everybody should get it, and I think everybody should consider vomiting out their own history.
Absolutely,
to help better repair themselves.
And thank you for putting yourself out there. I know it's hard to, you know, to tell that part of your life and let the whole world see, you know. So
thank you so much.
Brave.
Right.
Well, I'll be looking for yours.
Look, y'all go get it. It's on Amazon. It's a good read. And it's very relatable. Everybody can relate to it, every part of this book. So go get it.
Well, let me ask you one question before we go. In the glasses, were you able to see that that's a heterosexual one glass and then home? Okay, thank you, Just. Paying attention.
Yeah, that's a very, very nice little Easter egg to keep there for some people. I won't take too much time, but I'll say this for what people were saying today about giving that story and giving your story. For anybody that doesn't understand the way this world works, man, people are interesting. And there are a lot of people going through life that don't really know who they are or where they fit into society, whether they can find their purpose, find their true identity. And sometimes pieces of literature, books, vlogs, things like that give a person something to, you know, be able to lean into so that they can find more out about themselves. So if you have a story, anybody that has a story, it could be about the first time you rode a bike, man. But if you have a story that you can like, you know, map into something and you can pen it out and decide to get a reason to publish it and see that maybe if 5 people read it and 5 people have a chance to read it and figure out something in themselves, that's 5 lives you've changed. And
absolutely,
you get really caught up in numbers and, you know, lists and all that stuff. And approach that CJ had is important. I want to write this story to be able to help somebody and truly get this out there for me. And you see it affected all of us right here, just being able to read it. And it's affected more people in the comment section that are willing to buy that book. We're going to drop the link again. Aaron was able to pen out stuff. It was almost like a therapy session. Her psychology was on point tonight. And I think that was a deal for a lot of us. And so if anybody questioning themselves about what they want to write, please, if anything, this episode and this podcast, this conversation with this author should have given you the added kick to be like, yo, if I got something to say, I need to get it out there, because you don't know whose life you're going to change and affect. And I think that's the part of being about something bigger than yourself. So I'll leave it there. And thank you.
I love that.
Did you like the Phyllis Hyman song choice, by the way?
And your story, that whole confusion song was hilarious.
But and the thing is, like, I saw you laughed at it, and I'm just like, yo, that's how you had me like deep in my emotions. I went back to Phyllis Hyman, like that was living in confusion. Like that's what I was like. That's what my mind went right there to it. So when I did the first act, I ran it on that.
I was like, that era.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
Like, I listened to it. I was like, oh yes.
Yo, you knew then it was hitting me, right?
Yes.
I was connected, locked in on that. I was like, oh my god, this is Phyllis
That was
Hyman.
perfect.
Who was one of the goats, by the way. Nobody talks about her enough. But shout out. God bless her soul. God bless her soul. Plug the next book. Plug the next book.
Oh, what is it? It's a cold winter.
No, I can't.
That's alcoholic.
Tell me, what is it?
The coldest winter ever.
Oh, the coldest winter ever. Yes.
CJ, I challenge you. Did you read it, CJ? You ever read it? Did you ever read it? Did you ever read it?
No, I never read it before.
I challenge you to read it, and I challenge you to come on June 7th for this.
Okay.
Who is it? Sister Soldier?
Sister Soldier.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. I will do that.
It's my favorite book of all time. And when I tell you,
it.
I tell the story all the time. I used to work in Newark, and I miss my train stop all the time because I'd be locked in on the book. And I'm not like a dork like that, where I like watching documentaries. You know what I mean? But I was into that, like, just fuck it. I'll go to New York, turn around. Like I can't, like I was like, I'm not ending the chapter. There's no way. So
I'm gonna need that on the Audible. I'm gonna look it up.
It should be. Yeah, it should be. It was like a bestseller or something.
Just don't laugh. I'm going to Audible.
We was in the meeting last week, and I said I was downloading it on Audible.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, you did.
I can't do it. My ADD kicks in on Audible. I gotta be like,
either. I done drifted off and
I gotta like. I'm like, wait, what they say? Rewind.
I'm
rewinding. I'm like, wait. Rewind. It don't even make sense.
I can't do it. I got to be locked in. I see Shay. Shout out to Shay. Shout out to Jennifer. Oh, y'all, the coldest winter ever. Trust me.
Yes. Oh, coldest winter ever. What is it? June 7th. Our next bill.
Is that the first Monday to summer? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is. Our next build for the book club. Everybody go get it and read it so we can build on it on June 7th. And thank you so much, CJ. We appreciate you.
Thank you guys.
And
have a good night.
Next book, y'all, and go catch SIKE A DYKE right now on Amazon, Audible.
Yes, catch SIKE A DYKE.
Yes, get it.
Thank you, guys.
Oh,
thank you so much for coming on. Next week, we're doing a Q&A, right?
Oh, yes. We are doing a Q&A next week.
We're going to do a Q&A next week. So we'll be fielding questions about us from the audience and from each other.
Y'all send y'all questions in about us that y'all want to know. Anything. Because I think everybody is pretty much open to anything, right?
Yes.
Why are you quiet?
I might test positive for COVID that day. I might not show up.
Ain't nobody sick. We all open to all Q&As for.
And we're going to come up with questions for each other, right?
Next week's build. Yes, we are.
I'm working on. I got something for y'all. I'll speak to you guys in a couple of days. So
okay.
I got something for y'all.
Oh, I'm nervous.
We're gonna work on. You guys are good. Trust me. But we're gonna work on these questions, and we want to give people a chance to get to know us a little bit better, have a little bit more transparency. Of course, just with the base rule of just be respectful.
Yes, keep it very respectful, please.
Nothing out of bounds, please. We're all pretty calm and cool individuals, but
Just keep it grown and, you know,
adult, man.
Respectful. That's all we ask. But we are open to any question. I would say I'm open to any questions. So looking forward to all the questions for next week.
Challenge accepted.
You what?
Challenge accepted.
I'm nervous now.
Right. Between him and Joe's, I don't know.
Right? Look, just always had the poker face.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Right. Like the poker face, and it's like, huh?
Always.
What he thinking?
Always. But this was good. Great
dope.
First episode of the book club.
Yes, that was dope.
thanks CJ for coming on. It was just, I mean, I fell in love with the story.
Yeah.
And it was dope, and I hope everybody else goes and gets it.
Aaron, you better go with your whole analytic and, you know, breaking it all the way down. Like you gave the book a whole different perspective that I didn't even think about.
Right. She made a face like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yes, it was so on point, but it was like wow, like you went here like with the deep therapy, like wow, like you were so right with that. Well,
that's why I started with the grandmom, right? Because I'm like, was that love? Right? Because I saw so right then and there, I'm looking at the foundation. So was that love? Mississippi Black and German. As soon as I said no, I said, okay, so that foundation started there because that was the male and female, right? So that was the collective love that we're told to see and identify as love. But love's really in here. But you know what I mean? And so when I realized that and I saw how different it was, and then when she confirmed it, I saw, okay, so the first stone was fucked up. Then she got into the relationship with her mom and all, and I said, okay, so now you have somebody that's conflicted in here and doesn't know it because they're a kid, and this is there, like this, you know what I mean? So I just had, once I got that, then I said, okay, bet Phyllis, Ron, Deb, Tracy, like, you know what I mean? I was going
all the way down. You saw it all.
Yeah. I just had to get her to confirm that, and then I get it, and because I'm my own victim of my own upbringing, you know what I mean? And when you're courageous enough to kind of go back and look at it and make some of the, you know, maybe heroes of your life human and flawed in certain areas, then you get a better understanding and say, okay, this is what it is. And, you know what I mean, try to, like I said, you know, bury, put tombstone on and keep it pushing. But this was a great book. And yeah, no, it's like, this was dope. I'm looking forward to the second one. I'm looking forward to June 7th. I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to cheesecakes. I'm looking forward to my t-shirt.
Yes.
Right. I'm looking forward to more of Justin's final thoughts and just, you know, amazing analytics of everything. And I'm looking forward to growing with each and every one of you, you know, throughout 2021 and onward and upward. So this was good. This was a great episode. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to Jennifer. Shout out to Shay. Shout out to Ty.
Thank you all.
In the comment. Shout out to anybody that watches this afterwards. And as you know, we build. So we'll see y'all next week.
Q&As. Send them questions.